Yeah. MD. JPB. It's only right, baby.
Yeah. Why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Go on, run it back. You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of What, and I'm back here with another video. And today I'm doing What If Asta was Zoro's Reincarnation, Part 7, Zagred. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So last part, the Royal Knights headed to the Gravito dungeon, and there they fought the Eye of the Midnight Sun until they used a spell to turn their allies into their enemies, completing the Reincarnation spell. From here on, things go as in the original, except Yuno and Asta would have been destroying the elves as if they were flies. Their individual and combined power made short work of them until they head to Hodge Village, where after years of waiting, the orphanage gets to see Asta again. Their moment is short-lived though, as he and Yuno have to save the kingdom and leave, and after gathering the bulls, Asta heads into the Shadow Palace and soon follows Yuno, along with whoever I mentioned entered. So let's start from there. So they enter the Shadow Palace. However, as everyone enters, they get split up as Asta is with Mimosa, and they arrive inside this weird place, and he notices this place is a maze from the energy he's just feeling all around. Is this like some dimensional magic or some crap like that, Asta would ask. Mimosa then stands up, dusting herself out, as she would use her magic to show the map of the place and confirm it is indeed a sort of dimensionally warped place. And she says there seems to be some high power along with the bosses, above, and it's a familiar aura. And Asta would then say, it's Yuno. It could be the captains, Mimosa would say, but Asta would say, nope, it's Yuno. I can sense him even more clearly now since he becomes stronger, so let's just move on, okay? You're not going anywhere, human. Asta then turns to see some reincarnated elves, and as the elves quickly surround him and Mimosa would say they're trying to get rid of you. Then Yuno might also be in a bad spot. Asta then quickly puts a blade in his mouth, and he takes out his two other ones, and his Demon Destroyer sword is in his mouth, and he tells Mimosa to get on his back, and she does so embarrassed, as Asta then smiles, saying, "You shouldn't let me get ready." He then blitzes them as we cut to Yuno, as he stands before a fully healed Paltry, a fully recovered Raya, and an elf named Lone. "We'll be taking that magic stone now," Paltry would say, as Yuno is then surrounded by light spears made from Raya, and they go at him, but using the silent dance of the spirit, he easily evades it, appearing behind him. "You're not getting anything." Raya is then blasted from the back as a shocked Paltry and Lone get ready to attack, and Yuno uses a double spirit storm, sending two powerful waves at the two, and they manage to dodge. But just as Yuno notices that they dodge, Lone is right in front of him. I didn't sense him, Yuno would think. He then flies back to avoid him, only to then realize that the stone was already in his hands, and he lands annoyed, telling him to give it back. "It's mine." Raya then gets up, dusting himself, as he would then ask, "Are you sure you're a human?" Born and raised, would say, as Paltry scoffs, being unable to believe this, as his talent with magic matches that of Licht. Lone then says, "And with that, the debt is repaid." Raya then thanks Lone for his work, before then asking why he sounded like he was hiding something just now, and Raya would say, "Actually, who are you?" Lone's calm smile then turns into an eerie one as he mumbles something, and Raya would instantly have a hole in his stomach. As Raya falls over, Paltry asks what the hell Lone is doing, as Yuno is then confused. And Lone, while talking about something relating to the past, walks over to the place where the stone was supposed to be put. "You didn't hear me? Give that back," Yuno would yell. Lone would then stop and look back at Yuno, saying, "You're a funny human." He then puts the stone in, and Yuno readies a spirit storm, but to his shock, he sees a different spell activate as black ooze comes out of Lone at the same time. The spell activates when the stone was put in, and as the ooze comes out, this black stuff comes out of Lone, he passes out and essentially dies right there. And this black thing comes out of the spell, and they merge, and Paltry would just be like, "It can't be," and then this forms the devil Zagred. "I'm home. You miss me, Paltry?" "I don't know who the hell you are. What are you talking about?" Zagred then reveals he essentially caused the extinction of the elves, and he manipulated humans into killing them. And an enraged Paltry attacks him with his light spears, but with the word, Zagred returns his attacks to him, and Yuno moves him and an injured Raya out of the way before then saying, "I'm only helping you now because I'm gonna need you. Don't get the wrong idea." Yuno then looks back at the demon, and without attacking him, he can tell he will die if he tries to fight him alone. Right at this moment, though, is when Asta bursts in and carries Mimosa on his back. "You're late," Yuno would say, as Asta then lands saying, "I know. They wouldn't stop sending elves after me." Mimosa then gets off him in fear of this creature in front of her. She cannot describe him, whatever it is, it's otherworldly. "So that's the devil I've been sensing," Asta would say. "You've been sensing me, have you?" Zagred would say. Oh, come to think of it, I do remember that presence of yours. What is he talking about, Asta? Would ask, and Asta says he'll tell him later and, nods, as Zagred then taunts him to attack, and so they do, as they both appear right beside him. Be blasted away, Zagred would say, as the two are then sent flying away, sent into a wall, but they manage to stop themselves, as Zagred then gets a cut on his cheek in this exact moment. How is that? Let's do it again, the two would say, as they throw two massive attacks at him, and he tells him to return, only for him to then be cut right across from the head to the belly. Impossible. As gets his own magic coming back at him, Asta cuts it to nothing and just reabsorbs his anti-magic, attack, and then asking, if he was good. Would then say, we're only winning because he's confused by your attacks. The bad thing is, if his magic can influence the world around him, then... Zagred then says healing himself with an enraged look, and this confirms that he can essentially do anything he wants to happen. And this is when Asta and get on guard, as Zagred summons blades at them, like just a bunch of them, mixing in some magic ones with some real ones. But to his paltry Mimosa's surprise, Zagred's surprise, they go through the blades. The two just go through the blades, cutting them up like they was just nothing, with ease, even with how fast the blades were like falling. And Zagred would think, this might be a little fun after all. Iron spears then come out from under the ground as they hit Asta and but they shatter on impact, as Asta used armament hockey to block it, while use mana zone, mana skin, and they just keep attacking. These two are incredible, Paltry would think. Mimosa would then say, they're moving in perfect sync. It's insane. Zagred then gets cut again and again and again from nowhere, being confused at what's going on, but it's not like he'll think he'll lose. He's just having fun with this, for now anyway. And he would then think, to do this against my incomplete body. Impressive, humans. Stop talking and fight, Asta would say, as Asta swings down, as Zagred tells the wave of anti-magic to stop, but it doesn't, as his arm is then cleaved off. Huh? Zagred thinks in absolute confusion. He's then blasted through the stomach by a spirit storm attack before then backing away and healing himself. How are you doing this? Zagred is then cut again and again, mainly by Asta, and then falls with the second attack, and Zagred keeps healing himself effortlessly, but he's losing it, and by it I mean his mind. That human over there, he's an otherworlder, is that why? Their fight rages on, and Raya soon is on the ground, practically dying, when he is approached by Mimosa, who starts healing him. What? Well, why are you doing this? I don't need a reason to help someone on the brink of death, Mimosa would say, confused, and Mimosa then faintly reminds him of someone he used to know who was human, and she was pretty nice. That was, Lick's wife, I'm pretty sure, and he cannot believe how ridiculous things have become. Being helped by a human. What a predicament. Now, at this moment, this is when Asta and are fighting, and they're told to stop by Zagred and get frozen, only for Asta to break free, as he would then say, Son told you, Saisen Sekai, and he appears behind Zagred, and his arms and head just get cut off, and Zagred thinks, my magic has no effect on him now? What is he? Zagred then heals himself before then aiming for Paltry, as he flies over to him and appears right next to him, and uses the iron spears, which then pierce him up from the ground and hold him up, and he's essentially in an extreme pain. I'm gonna need that grimoire back. He then takes Paltry's grimoire before corroding him with devil magic, and he is taken over by his own pure hate, becoming a dark elf. Meanwhile, Paltry's grimoire becomes a 5-leaf clover, while Zagred holds it, because it was originally his anyway. Have fun, you kids. He then disappears as is freed from his spell, and both he and Asta see that they have a new enemy, but Asta tells it's fine. I'll take care of this. Liebe then forms himself, now in a cutesy little chibi form, to the surprise of and Asta. Isn't he also a devil? Liebe then turns to saying, you got a problem with that? Wow, you two are perfect for each other, would say. Asta then tells him to shut up before then seeing dark light spears coming at him, and he deactivated his wings, making himself fall as he cuts through them all before then landing right in front of a dark Paltry. He then releases his Conqueror Spirit, freezing Paltry in place, and he would then say, this had better work. He then hits Paltry on the head with his Demon Destroy Katana, and a bunch of anti-magic oozes out as he's then transported inside Paltry's mind, and there is nothing but darkness, but far off is Paltry alone. Asta then sheathes his sword, asking, Liebe? I guess he can't come in here. Asta then starts walking to Paltry, and he sees all these memories and his very, real hate, and then soon he's standing in front of Paltry, who himself is acting very frantic and insane, but now he took the form of a child, his true form. Hey, wake up. Paltry then turns facing Asta, telling him to go away with a scream, saying, don't come near me. And Asta says, I can't do that. This is your mind, kid. Wow, you're actually really fucked up. Paltry then says, stop addressing me like we're both kids. What are you talking about? You damn humans don't have the right to look down on me. Asta then tilts his head, saying, huh? Oh yeah, I'm over 70 years old, kid. Let me show you some of my memories. A confused Paltry is then surrounded by images of Asta's past life, being confused as to how he can even do that. And he sees him training from when he was a kid to when he joined the Straw Hats, and Paltry would say, "I knew there was something off about you. Turns out you weren't even from this world. A pirate? That's not the point. A kid like you is not going to disobey his elders, you got me?" The situation has gotten so weird, Paltry would think. But Paltry gets more calm despite this craziness, as he then says he is pissed that he was tricked, obviously, and at this point his anger is basically meaningless. Why am I even telling you this? Oh, it must be this kid. His soul and mine are fused, but apparently he was way more empathetic than I am. Paltry would then say, "Why are you even doing this? You can easily kill me." "That's because the kid wants me to save you." I know, weird, right? Honestly, I couldn't care less, but the kid is making me, but we humans are not that much different from you guys, and I can agree with him on that. Asta then sighs, he then sits down cross-legged, saying, "Let me show you one of my most important memories." Watch carefully. A memory then shows itself in front of Paltry, and his eyes widen as we go back outside to see Paltry be cured of his corrosion, but he is now, left with one dark eye, while maintaining his, his normal pale skin. And Raya then turns over to see this and is surprised that he didn't kill him, as Paltry then said, "I'm willing to work with you. I still don't trust you humans though. I know you don't trust me either. This is simply a little deal. I know, we don't need your trust, we need your strength," would say. And they would then hear indeed, as they all see Nozel come down from above, he's landing, and he says, "I'm guessing the situation has changed quite a bit." "Well, not really, we just gotta beat some devil guy." "I don't know if you're just being overconfident," Paltry would say, "but somehow your friend over there was hurting him, so that must give you some confidence." He then points to Yuno, who shakes his head, pointing to Asta, who says, "Yeah, it was me. He doesn't know my techniques, so I get him every time, even if he deals with my anti-magic." "No, my anti-magic," Libe would say, as Nozel then asks, "What is that creature?" Libe then says he's a devil, which makes Nozel get on guard, but Asta says it's fine as he's an ally, and they're gonna need him. Now as he says this, they all sense this huge amount of evil like coming at them, this huge amount of intent, and from above, this strange material starts to fall, mana from the devil world, and blasts at it, as does Paltry and Nozel, but their magic is just being taken away and cancelled. "It's eating our mana," Paltry would say, as some of this material then falls on and it burns him, making them realize they can't even touch it either. But then Asta steps up as he enters his, half devil form. "Libe." "I know," Libe would say, as he then jumps into the material, and and everyone yell for him to not do this, as he is completely just engulfed by this material, only for it to then completely be blown away and dissipated, revealing a smiling Asta with two swords in hand. "Nitoriu, Nanajuni Poundaho." As he says this, he starts flying in the air, telling everyone to hurry the hell up before then blasting off, and they follow after him, bringing Raya along, and of course Mimosa, and they ride on Nozel's silver carpet. "Is it because he has no magic?" Paltry would ask, and Nozel says it must be. Let's just hope he can keep leading the charge. Now at this moment, we then cut to Fernro as he stares down the Wizard King statue, turn into the actual Wizard King himself, and Nero turns into a girl with horns. The legendary Wizard King? And Nero? You're a girl? The first Wizard King then looks around as he senses the Shadow Palace and sees it, and he manages to kind of, feel Zagred out, and he would then say, "So he managed to gain a body, huh?" "Who got a body?" Fernro would say. "What's going on here?" We then go back inside the Shadow Palace as Asta cuts through more of this mana from another world, and he finds Zagred flying in this new area fighting Licht, which, this ground has just become like a whole place taken over by this corrosive, mana. And this is when Zagred sees Asta and he creates his weapon, which is the Trident. Just as they meet is when Lumiere and a human Nero also show up bursting in, and when the others arrive, as they see the Wizard King himself. "This can't be possible, right?" would say. Is it actually him?" Nozel, being dumbfounded by this, is just kind of, distracted. Meanwhile, Asta actually attacks Zagred while everyone else is in a daze, appearing behind him and cutting off his head once again. Be shredded. Asta is then cut by violent winds, which then form a tornado, blowing back everyone, only for it to then be burst to just complete nothingness, and Asta shows himself completely unscathed. "That's not gonna be enough," he would say, as he then goes back to attacking, and a shocked Lumiere asks Nero who that kid was. "He's a swordsman." "Yeah, I'm gonna need more context," Lumiere would say, as Nero then says he can handle himself, that's all he needs to know for now, and they should go see Licht. They then fly over to him, and Nero unlocks the sort of seal placing that was placed on him, kind of locking his emotions. And this makes, when she releases it, it makes Licht smile as he is happy to see his best friend again after all these years. 500 years, to be exact. That's really long. Licht would then say, "So, how surprising is it to see this scene?" The three then look back to see Asta cutting up Zagred with ease and him trying to, get Asta, but he can't. Oh, stop watching like an idiot, join in. Then snaps out of this daze and he flies over, and to everyone's shock, he creates a sword from his wind magic. I'm still gonna be the Wizard King. He then appears and slashes down at Zagred, cracking his head open before Asta then cuts his head again, and the two appear behind him in a flash, as Zagred is then hit by multiple slashes all over his body, completely disintegrating him and revealing his heart. That was way too easy, would say. Asta then tells him it's not over yet, as his heart then speaks and heals itself, and knowing Asta, as he and then go back on the attack again, and Licht and Lumiere appear in front of Zagred saying, let us take care of this. For now, at least, okay? Asta would then say, I mean, if you want to, go ahead, first Wizard King. Liebe, are you good? Chibi Liebe then gives a thumbs up, and Licht raises his sword, bringing in all the power from the remaining elves as he strikes down, causing all this, magic from the underworld to disintegrate. And Lumiere goes on the attack, catching Zagred off guard, and after this, they have the same awesome fight they did as, in the original. And the youngins get to see how the OGs do things. It's pretty, impressive, I'm not gonna lie. But after being hit by his trident, the two lose almost instantly, with Yuno and Asta catching them before then quickly attacking Zagred like a tag team thing. But this time, he releases this black material, this weird material again, but this time it takes the form of these creatures that go to eat them up. Santoryu, Toro Nagashi. Asta then cuts up the monsters and slightly twists his mouth while holding the blade in it, as he then stabs at Zagred's heart, but it moves away in time and Asta hits it barely, like just barely, before he is then hit by Zagred in the stomach, and he only gets stabbed a little bit, and he's sent flying upwards. That was annoying as hell. That little heart of his won't stop moving around. Now as Asta and fight, those all the others are defending themselves from this mana eating creatures, when Lumiere asks Nero, how does he do that, using 3 swords, and does he have wind magic and I just can't detect it? I really don't know. Nero then says, simply put, he was born with an abnormally strong body and a weird sense of fighting. He says that style makes him comfortable, it fits him the most. Then, does he even need anti-magic? Nero then shakes her head, saying no, even without anti-magic or what he calls hockey, he can create pressurized wind attacks from his swords, but when it comes to the devil, he will need it. Ooh, what's hockey? Nero then says she'll tell him later, as Licht then says that he has a feeling this is about to end very soon, and Nero and Lumiere look at him weirdly. Patri then flies over to take care of, some of these mana-eating creatures to help them out, telling them to just get used to this, deal, as he would then say he's from another world, his logic doesn't apply to ours. Another world? Licht would ask. Patri then nods, as this is when Asta yells for someone to send some magic to the knights trying to escape, because he can sense them running out of energy, and you're trying to escape this, material. So Licht and Lumiere get on it, giving some other power to people, Meanwhile, Asta is simply waiting, and flies over asking him what he's doing, this, attack, and Asta says, wait for it. Zagred, being actually cornered at this point, gets pissed. You're nothing but an outsider. You don't even exist in this world. How could you be hurting me? It's impossible. He's then hit by this intense pressure from Asta, as Asta then says, yeah, I can do that too. Just wait. It's coming. As everyone wonders what he's talking about, Zagred is then cleaved right in half by a dark slash from Yami, before Asta bursts with anti-magic, appearing right in front of Zagred. It was fun while it lasted, devil. Asta then simply thrusts forward, and his heart tries to move, only to realize that it is frozen by this pressure, and the heart is completely erased by this thrust, as Zagred starts to disintegrate, now having a huge hole in his body. And this is when he sees Liebe pulling his tongue out, while giving him the middle finger, and he would ask, who the hell are you? Zagred then disappears with Liebe whispering, don't worry about it, you'll know soon. Asta then sheathes his sword and turns back to everyone saying, okay, let's blow this joint, I'm tired as hell. Raya then staggers up saying, that's what you say? After beating a devil? I could have done that whenever I wanted, I just needed good timing. A swordsman has to plan ahead, Now, are you gonna go with me, or do you guys want to die? Lumiere then says, this kid is incredible. Now, in this instant, out of nowhere, Noelle appears through a portal as she then hugs a confused Asta, who asks, the hell? Every single person at that dungeon is then transported outside of the, Shadow Palace, and they see it crumble as they find themselves flying outside before then landing safely, and Asta sees Fernral and Valtos using some combination magic, which is what got them out of there, and he waves to Asta, who waves back at, him. Asta then says, oh, by the way, can you let go now? An embarrassed Noelle then lets go, and they all land on the, on the ground, and they, say hi to each other, before then realizing that the elves are still going crazy. Asta then steps up saying, alright, he then raises a sword, but Licht asks if he can do this himself. Please, I want them to leave peacefully. I know it's a selfish request. Asta then sees his sword as he then exits black mode, sitting down exhausted. Well, are you gonna go for it? I mean, you guys are acting like I'm gonna kill you or something. It's like he doesn't even realize what he just did, they would all think. Lick then uses his magic and ends the magic of the reincarnation thing, and the souls of the elves are pulled into the spirit tree, which is what he used, with Lick, Raya, and everyone else starting to disappear, and the same interactions happen. The elf Charlotte says bye to Yami, Lick says bye to Lumiere, but Rades in a rage stops Paltry, Veto, and Raya and Fauna from leaving and names it their punishment by using his soul magic and whatever it's called, and Asta laughs at this hysterically. Now you're just like us humans. Oh, that's funny. I'm tired. Lumiere then says, you're definitely an interesting individual. Wow, even the Wizard King saying it. You were universally bizarre, Asta, from the what says he's laughing. And Asta then says whatever before falling down, saying he'll let them take care of the rest since he's already done most of the work. I'm gonna kill you, I swear. You know what say. And Asta says, love you too, man. Now get to it. So everyone goes to help the kingdom, but of course Julius is not dead this time. He's already helping everyone now, and things are getting, more safe and serious again. And Vengeance, who was with Julius at the time without his mask for once, comes and joins everyone, and he is told about everything that happened. However, as they're resting, Nero realizes that it's time for Lumiere to go, as he is cracking even more. His body is losing substance, and Lumiere would then say, my time's up. This body is losing magic already. Your Highness, please, let me go with you, she would plead, as Lumiere then says, I'm sorry, I can't be selfish like that. You've devoted 500 years of your life to me. I don't want to hold back your potential anymore. Lumiere then turns his attention to Asta, Mimosa, and Noel, who were the only ones there at the time because everyone else was saving the city, and he would say, I'm so happy I got to meet my descendants this way. Nero then says, that serving him were the best years of her life, and she was really happy, and Lumiere says, me too. Thank you, Nero. Now, as Nero holds his hand, Lumiere then disappears into thin air, and Nero only cries more and more as the sun then finally rises, and this crisis is over. The elves have left to find their own place, the remaining ones. Zagred is gone, and the legend himself, the first Wizard King, is gone. Now, to Julius's office, we brought Asta, Yuno, Noel, Mimosa, and the rest of the Black Bulls, including Nero, and Yami and Vengeance are standing behind Julius. Good job, you guys, Julius would say, as Magna would then say, we're actually getting summoned by the Wizard King. Julius would then say, don't be so modest, you guys earned it. Matter of fact, everyone's calling you guys the Chaos Squad because of that thing with the giant bull. Asta would then laugh once again, saying that's hilarious, and Julius says, actually aside from that, there is an actual problem. That little friend of yours, he's a devil, isn't he? He points to a sleeping Libe on Asta's shoulder, and everyone notices him as he would then say, oh yeah, Libe? What about him? Just look at your arm, Julius would say, as Asta then does, and he sees a seal around his wrist, and Julius says that this may mean that him and Libe formed a pact without knowing since they became so close, which is unheard of because you have to do a whole ritual. Julius then says the same goes for Nero, except those horns, much like the ones you gain when you transform, are a result of using something akin to forbidden magic. Nero then transforms into a bird and lies on Asta's head as he freaks out, waking up Libe, who punches him, saying, what the hell is going on? And Asta then says, you're that little bird? The hell, I've been having a girl sitting on my head for days now. You should feel lucky, Nero would say, as Asta says, oh, now you got attitude because you can talk, huh? Libe then says, seriously? You're so stupid, she has the same aura as before. Can't your hockey let you sense that? Asta then says, hockey doesn't really work that way, but I guess I should have. So what does this mean for me anyway? Julius then says, there's someone from the house of Kira who will probably come to take you to court soon and try to use you as a scapegoat to blame this whole event on someone. So Ash suggests, hey, where the hell are you going? Asta, as he starts to leave the room, nonchalantly then says, I'm getting some booze. I'm really exhausted, He then leaves as he slams the door behind with, taking Nero with him, and everyone just sighs with, saying, if I was with you guys, I would have lost my mind by this point. Now, outside, as Asta walks out, he is run up to, a girl runs up to him, and she thanks him, and she says that her grandmother actually asked for his help a few days back. Oh, her. So Yami finally got to you. Stay safe from now on, okay? The girl then nods and she thanks Asta like a billion folds because that captain that, apparently, there was some business. You guys will remember it if you actually go back. I did a little scene. She's grateful. And as Asta walks the street, he actually receives admiration since people saw him storming the kingdom with the bull, the giant bull, and his, black bull comrades. So they're actually more popular than ever. And this means that Libe, starts to hide as more people come out. And, because he doesn't want to give too much attention. Asta then says, since when did you care about people's attention? It's not like that, you idiot. Just stay in your little form. If anyone says anything, I'll just beat them up. Liebe then forms saying, seriously, no wonder you used to be a bandit. Pirate, there's a difference, Asta would say. So, what will happen when Damnatio, whatever the hell his name is, from the House of Cure, tries to ruin Asta? How will Asta react? How will the kingdom react? Find out in the upcoming parts. It's been me, Prince of What Ifs, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Goodbye. I'm gonna go sleep.